Hello trainees, today we are going to learn the procedure to perform a cross grain cutting, oblique sawing across the grain and sawing curves. The objectives of this video are: after this session you will be able to how to perform cross grain cutting, oblique sawing across the grain, how to saw curves. Let's continue.
Task 3. Sawing across the grain on horse or trestles. Let's start by checking the piece size. To check the size of the wooden piece, use the folding rule and make sure that its length, breadth and height is 200 mm into 100 mm into 25 mm. Mark the job as per drawing using tri-square, folding rule and pencil. Check if the cross-cut saw is sharp. If not, then sharpen the saw and keep it ready for sawing. Use your knees to hold the job firmly if you need to. Hold the saw at an angle of 45 degrees on the lines marked. Before sawing, make sure that the saw, wrist, elbow and shoulder should all be in one plane. Start sawing the job by pushing and pulling back the saw with uniform pressure. Use gentle strokes at the end to avoid tearing of wood. When sawing across the grain, the free hand to be brought across to hold the cut piece. While finishing, use mild strokes to avoid tearing of wood. Repeat the same procedure for the other 3 lines. We are done with task 3. Let's move on to task 4. Task 4. Oblique sawing across the grain. Let's first check the wooden piece for its size using the folding rule and making sure that the length, breadth and height measures 200 mm into 20 mm into 50 mm. Mark the job as per sketch with the bevel square, pencil and tri-square. To mark the job, we need to know how to mark different angles. To mark the 60 degree using the protractor, create an angle of 60 degrees and measure it with a bevel square. Mark the 60 degrees in the bevel square at a distance of 25 mm from left for a depth of 35 mm. To mark the 45 degrees using the protractor, create an angle of 45 degrees and measure it with a bevel square. Mark the 45 degrees in the bevel square at a distance of 50 mm from left for a depth of 40 mm. To mark the 30 degree using the protractor, create an angle of 30 degrees and measure it with a bevel square. Mark the 30 degrees in the bevel square at a distance of 75 mm from right for a depth of 30 mm. Hold the job in the carpenter's vise with 50 mm side upwards. Tighten the job using the handle in the bench vise. Hold the tenon saw on a 60 degree line and start sawing with uniform pressure to a depth of 35 mm. Hold the tenon saw on 45 degree line and start sawing to a depth of 40 mm. Hold the tenon saw on 30 degree line and start sawing to a depth of 30 mm. Task 4 has been completed. Let's move to the next task. Task 5. Curving sawing. To check the wooden piece for flatness and squareness with a tri-square, place the tri-square on top of the wood piece and look at a well-lit area and see that there is no light visible passing through the space between the tri-square and the wooden piece due to any dents and move it along the surface to check at every point. We have checked for flatness. Now we will check for squareness by placing the tri-square on the corner of the wooden piece and checking if there are gaps in between the wood and the tri-square and move it along the edge to check every point. We need to mark the lines on both sides of the job as per the drawing shown with the help of wing compass, folding rule and support piece. First, place the job horizontally free from dust and dirt. Measure the center point lengthwise. Place the wing compass on the center A and draw the semicircle of radius 30 mm on both sides with the help of a support piece. Draw a perpendicular line from point D and F to join DE and FG as shown in the image. Now, DE is equal to FG is equal to 25 mm thickness. Keep the job as it is. Place the wing compass on the point B and draw the arcs of 25 mm on both sides, joining P and K using the guide piece. Draw and complete the corner circle on the edge side and back side. Draw perpendicular KH and PJ. KH is equal to PJ is equal to 25 mm thickness. Place the wing compass on the point C and draw the arcs of 30 mm on both sides, joining X and Z. Draw perpendicular lines XY and ZN. Hold the job on a workbench with the face side of 150 mm facing upwards by using a G-clamp. Set the saw on marked line. Start sawing the semicircle from the face edge, half portion from right and half from left, and complete it using a compass saw. Hold the job so that corner B is upwards. Set the compass saw on the other marked lines of radius 30 mm and start sawing from any of the face edges and complete it carefully. Hold the job so that the corner C of radius 25 mm is upwards. Keep the saw on the marked lines and start sawing slowly with the compass saw and complete it. Now, we have completed curve sawing and it should look like this. We are done with task 5.
Recap. First, we saw task 3 in which we needed to mark the job using a tri-square. Hold the job with knees. Saw at a 45-degree angle and support the cut piece with the free hand when sawing across the grain. On task 4, we looked at how to mark the job with bevel square, pencil and tri-square. Hope you understood everything taught in this session. See you in another video. Thank you and goodbye until then.